Which vaccines are the most important ones to get? Dan, they're just written here.
Can he say all of them? No.
Should I let Jerry or Ernest answer that question with me? This is one of the questions that I get, and I'll be honest with you, the answer is all of them. They are all important for different reasons. But we don't give in this country every vaccine that's available. What we give is what is recommended each year through the CDC and other groups of very smart people that get together and they look at trends and they look to see what is best going to serve our communities. So there are definitely immunizations that exist that we don't give here because we just don't see certain diseases here. And when somebody is going to travel to one of those areas, they go to Dr. Scully and they get vaccines for those things, yellow fever and encephalitis and things like that. So the standard schedule that's here, that's what's important. That's what I want to start as soon as we can. I purposely have people come in at 6 weeks of age to start on their pertussis vaccine just because of the 60-year high, record high we have in the state currently. Can think of a couple of quick anecdotes. So one of the vaccines that sometimes gets pushed to the side is the hepatitis B vaccine. And so sometimes this is one of the harder questions, trying to convince the family of a brand new baby, why they need to get, poked with, for hepatitis B, which generally people think about as being a sexually transmitted or a blood transmitted disease. But I will tell you that unfortunately accidents happen. There are times people need blood products, blood transfusions, and you feel so much happier as a parent and especially as a doctor knowing that your child is protected against that. So I have one story that I tell, and I have permission from this family. I'm not going to use a name, but they had resisted on the hepatitis B vaccine for several years, and beautiful 3-year-old daughter started having some urinary symptoms, and we worked her up and she saw a specialist, and it turned out that she had inherited a genetic disorder that was basically a degenerative kidney disorder, and her kidneys were failing, and she was very soon going to need to go on dialysis and almost certainly going to need a kidney transplant within the next short bit of time. So they were down at Cedars-Sinai, they got set up. They were going to the transplant coordinator until they looked at her immunization records and realized she hasn't had her series. She can't go on the list. She can't even go on the list. And so I got a very distraught phone call and had a family in my office that was just so upset, and I was so upset. And so we got her caught up. It takes 6 months. She got caught up. They came for all their appointments. They went back to the transplant coordinator. They got on the list, and thank God she got a kidney. And 7 years later, she's really doing great. But that was a real life, true story of mine of why that immunization was important. Second one that hits even closer to home is Jerry knows. My oldest son, when he was 5, developed something called Kawasaki's disease, and we didn't know right away. It took several days to figure out. But this is a disease that affects blood vessels. It causes inflammation, and ultimately it can cause some devastating side effects to your coronary arteries and basically make it so you can't exercise. If you run, you could have an aneurysm of a coronary artery and you can die. So the treatment for this is something called IVIG, which is a pooled group of antibodies. So thousands and thousands of people that donate blood, they take the antibodies out, they put it together. So even though it's pretty safe, as a parent thinking about this, it's pretty scary. You're wondering, is my child going to get sick from this? And I find myself in the same spot as other parents that are scared about their kids. But how our doctors talk to us and reassured us, he's had all his immunizations, he's up to date on hepatitis B, that's the one we're most worried about, he should be fine. And I swear within about 20 minutes to an hour, you can test this, he started to get better. But the stress that was taken off my shoulders at that time was tremendous, just knowing that our doctors had done the right thing for him in getting him up to date on his immunizations early. So sorry if I went on long, that was
No, that's good.
That was a tough question.